Hi, I'm Sharon Duran. I'm the Program Director for the Professional Services Department. Today, we're going to talk about the mentor-mentee agreement that y'all have agreed to as we move forward in your first year of teaching here in Okaloosa County. If you're watching this video, you are either a new teacher to OCSD or have agreed to mentor a new teacher. You should have received a mentoring journal and a couple of handouts through the courier from Rachel Mentee. If you've mentored over the last couple of years, you will find that most of the expectations have stayed the same. There are a few changes to the mentor program as required by new legislation. And even if you've been a mentor in previous years, be sure to watch the video again in order to understand the new reporting requirements. Always remember that your mentee is new to the district and quite likely to the profession. It's important that the two of you watch the video together. As a mentor, your job is to impart your knowledge and share your expertise on instructional practices, content, and district policies and procedures. Your work will impact this new teacher's professional life. As a mentee, your job is to be receptive and have an open mindset. You will work in partnership with the ultimate goal of improved student learning. Now, look at the materials you should have received through the courier. If you haven't received your materials yet, it would be best to postpone the video until they arrive. You can email Rachel Mentee in Professional Services to verify they are on their way. In your packet, you will have a journal with a green, pink, yellow, blue, or purple cover. The cover denotes the type of certificate the mentee holds at the time of hire. If you believe you have the wrong materials, please stop the video and contact me, Sharon Duran. Mentor, if you have the green or yellow journal, your mentee has a professional certificate and you are going to be paid $450 for your work. If you have someone with a pink, lavender, or blue journal, your mentee has a temporary or district certificate or license and you will be paid $650. Please be aware, in order to be paid the complete amount, you must complete everything outlined in the journal and on time. Sometimes mentors wait too long to get started and forget what they were supposed to do. At a minimum, you must complete this journal and the expectations outlined in it, and if you forget, you can always come back to the video. On the inside front cover of your journal is a quarter-by-quarter checklist. Also notice that everyone has the requirement to secure an administrator's signature and date at the end of each quarter. You are required to schedule a quarterly meeting with the administrator assigned to monitor your school's new hires. Use this time to talk about your successes as a team or possible needs. Mentees, if by the end of the first quarter your mentor-mentee partnership isn't working, please talk to your administrator or call me so we can make other arrangements. The pink journals have a new requirement. This is on the last page of the journal. Read carefully the narrative at the top of the page. The mentor is responsible for dating and initialing weekly meetings that have occurred with the temporary certificate teacher. Examples of the different meeting opportunities are provided on the slide. If the mentee worked with an instructional coach, co-planned with a grade level member, or had a conversation with an administrator, all are examples of collaborative activities that can be and should be documented. Now, let's open the journal to page 1, titled Mentoring Expectations. Read carefully together the expectations of the program. The expectations are clearly defined and illustrated. The next 2 pages outline the first quarter mentoring requirements. These are all of those really important jobs that happen outside of the classroom. You will see things like making substitute plans, parent-teacher conferencing techniques, and writing your ippy-lippy. You might choose to meet each week and whittle away a little at a time, or you may decide to take a TDE day or half a day and tackle a large chunk of the requirements, whatever works best for the two of you. Just remember that you may and probably will need to revisit some of the items throughout the year. During each of the remaining 3 quarters, you will be completing a formative cycle using the formative process model. The formative process model is the backbone of clinical educator training. Many of our mentors hold the ClinEd certification and serve as supervisors to student teachers and upper-level practicum students. Mentors and mentees with 3 or more years of experience, please contact Rachel Money if you are interested in taking the 3-hour clinical educator training course. The formative process model that you will be using is a cyclical process that allows for ongoing support and improvement to your mentee's self-selected area of need. Here's a closer look. The mentee's area of need might be a concern with classroom management, pacing, or transitions, and they select the area of greatest concern. Let's review the steps of the formative process model. Step 1, the mentee identifies an area of need. Step 2, the mentor collects data based on student and teacher interactions. Step 3, the mentor provides feedback and/or strategy. Step 4, the mentee implements the strategy. And step 5, together the mentor and mentee debrief and plan the next steps. Let's take a closer look at each step. The areas of need are ultimately the mentee's decision. The area the mentee chooses to work through should be relating to classroom instruction. Although everyone needs help with their IPI-LIPI or the focus platform, and those are important, they do not impact classroom instruction and are not appropriate for the formative cycle. Remember, all of those important skills that happen outside of the classroom are part of your first quarter requirements. It's fine to revisit any of them throughout the year, but if it happens outside the classroom, it cannot be used as one of the 3 required formative cycles. After the area of need is identified, together you should state how the desired outcome will impact student learning. For example, if the mentee states they are having a problem with student participation and classroom discussion, that becomes the stated need. The desired outcome on student learning might be something like, the more students verbalize and interact with each other, the more likely they are to make connections to the content. Before leaving this initial meeting, together set a time for the mentor to observe the mentee in action. You should plan to observe for 10 to 20 minutes. In step 2, the mentor has arranged to observe during a time the area of need would be evident. The mentor may choose to use part of his or her allotted TDE days, get someone to cover his or her class, or go during planning. Again, whatever works for you. During this 10 to 20 minute observation, the mentor will record data based on what is happening in the classroom. Stick to the facts and avoid writing down what you think will fix the problem or what the mentee should be doing. And this is really important. When you go in for those few minutes, look at the big picture. Try to capture everything you possibly can. Later on, you both might discover what was first identified as the problem is not the problem at all. The more observational data you collect, the richer the discussion will be during the debrief. As soon as possible, but no more than a couple of days, the 2 of you will come together again for step 3. During this step, start by letting the mentee read through your step 2 data. Ask him or her leading questions to elicit their understanding of what was actually happening during those few minutes. Together, determine if the identified problem was in fact the area of need or if something else was causing the problem. Using the evidence as a guide, brainstorm solutions to fix the problem identified and record 1 or 2 strategies for the mentee to try. Mentor, prior to this meeting, you may need to do some research in order to offer appropriate strategies. like asking a consulting teacher, instructional coach, fellow teachers, or thinking of your own past experiences. Just be ready to offer some solid instructional practice strategies. Because let's face it, if your mentee knew what to do, they would have already been doing it. One word of caution here. Mentors, be careful not to overwhelm your mentee when reviewing your collected observation data. Remember, they might be brand new to this teaching business, and you will undoubtedly see dozens of things that could use some work. However, for each cycle, focus on what they asked you by highlighting the evidence that addresses one specific problem. Another day, you can revisit the other evidence and those needs. Once the two of you settle on what specific strategies the mentee will implement, record it on step 3. Set another meeting date for 2 and 3 weeks out. Remember, change takes time and practice. As you leave today, the mentee should take the journal to record their experiences while implementing the new strategies. Between steps 3 and 4, the mentee will be implementing the strategies you both agreed on. Mentee, it's a great idea to journal your experiences every day or so, and that will allow you to see the transition in your practice. Or in the event the improvement doesn't happen as expected, you and your mentor will have your evidence to review. All of us tend to give up too easily when we are trying to change. So during the 2 to 3 week period, stick with the strategy you selected. At the end of 2 or 3 weeks, you will come back together. The mentee will have completed step 4 and you will be ready to debrief. In step 5, the two of you will discuss the results of the strategy that was implemented. Jot down some notes from this discussion. Finally, together you will decide if the area of need was met or if more work is needed on that particular area. You may decide to continue working on this same area next quarter when you start cycle 2, or you might be ready to move on to something new. You will want to be sure to check the appropriate box and sign and date at the conclusion of this first cycle. All documentation can be done via word processing and stapled on the page requiring signatures. Regardless of whether you continue working on this area of need or start something new, you have now mastered the formative process model and you are ready for a new cycle. The cycles are set up as quarterly activities. However, you don't have to wait until a new 9 weeks to continue work. The journal is meant to be the minimum. We are hopeful there will be a lot of interactions between the two of you. As part of the mentoring process, limited TDE time is provided for each mentee that can be used for your meetings or classroom observations. Thank you again for participating in this training. We are very committed to the process. You will see us in your school asking how it's going. Please be forthcoming with us. We will be discreet if either of you feel the mentor-mentee relationship isn't working. We want a win-win situation for everyone. So you are now ready to get started. Be sure to complete the closing activity worksheet and don't forget to sign the mentor-mentee agreement and send back to Rachel Money in the Professional Services Department. Thank you for participating in the program, and please do not forget, should you have any questions or concerns along the way, to reach out to the Professional Services Department.
Hello, my name is Penny Parmer.
And I am Meg Dorsey.
We are consulting teachers for the Okaloosa County School District. We are going to role play Cycle A of the formative observation process that you're going to walk through the mentor and mentee program. Hi Meg, how are you today?
I'm good, Penny. Good to see you.
It is so nice to see you. It's really hard to believe the school year has gone by so quickly, and we're in the second 9 weeks. The first 9 weeks we went through a lot of the housekeeping stuff that you needed to know about, but we're gonna focus on some area of need that you may have in your classroom. So can you think of something that you might want to work on this cycle?
Actually, we've really been struggling to just get to different places in the classroom, to line up, to get to the homework bin.
Oh, okay. So what I'm hearing you say is you might need help with transition time in the classroom. Is that correct?
Yes, and also lesson planning is really hard.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so lesson planning doesn't fall under the formative observation cycle, but I will be more than happy to help you with that.
Okay.
We'll carve out some time and make that happen later on. For the formative observation cycle and cycle A, it needs to be something observable in your classroom. And I'm thinking that transition and movement in the classroom might be a perfect fit for us. What do you think?
Yes, we absolutely need it.
Okay, so what do you see as the issue right now with your transition time in the classroom?
It takes forever, and I never get to quite finish my lessons the way that I want to.
Okay, so it sounds like you're losing a good bit of instructional time.
Yes.
Okay, when do you see this happening in your classroom most of the time?
Well, I think the part that gets to me the most is when we're trying to pack up and just move on so the next group can come in.
Okay, so great. I'm going to make some notes here in my journal about your concerns, and then let's talk about a time that I could come in. What is a specific time of day that most of the transition happened that you have a struggle with?
Well, we're trying to get out the door at 9:30, so maybe come a little bit earlier than that.
Perfect. Let's see. On my calendar, I have open on Tuesday. What if I come on Tuesday and I come a little bit early, maybe 9:15, 9:20, so that I'm in place, ready to go and see what I need to say. See, how does that sound to you?
That works.
Well, great.
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at 9:15.
I'll be waiting.
Great. Hi, Meg. It's so great to see you again. I loved being in your classroom on Tuesday. I appreciated the opportunity that I could visualize what was happening in your classroom. I just wanted to share with you some things that I wrote down in my journal as I was taking notes. I only wrote down things that I saw, and I noticed that I came in at 9:15, and then at 9:20, I noticed that all of your students were engaged. Very well done. But then at 9:25, a timer went off, and students, well, they really started getting up, but they didn't know where to go. They didn't know where to put their homework. So we need to talk about that. They were moving quite slowly.
Like snails.
Yes. So there were also 3 students just having a conversation about who they were going to sit with at lunch.
And I told them not to talk.
Yeah, we do that sometimes as teachers, so we're going to address that as well. So if we look, you released them to their next transition at 9:34, and they were still having difficulty getting settled down.
Wow. Oh, we're a little bit off schedule then, for sure.
Yeah, it took a little while to regroup. So if we look at our timing, we're losing about 10 minutes of instructional time.
Well, 10 minutes, okay. Maybe not as bad as I thought, except I guess if it's every day.
10 minutes of instructional time across a week would be a whole class period, 50 minutes. So let's talk about some strategies. Maybe let's look at your procedures and see what is not working in your classroom, and maybe some new things that you could implement that would work.
Maybe some more steps to it?
Yes, for sure. And I think you're going to have to be very explicit about what you expect from your students. So let's talk about some new rules and expectations during transition time. And then let's talk about you're going to have to teach it to them over and over again.
Is this that practice makes perfect, redo, redo, redo?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then you may have to redo it again.
Okay. But that takes time too, right?
Yes, it does, for sure. So just remember that anytime you implement a new strategy, you have to put in place rules, expectations, and you have to teach it to your students. What do you want them to do and how do you want them to do it? Show them explicitly and then expect it from them.
So show them the way I want them to get their homework,
Yes.
and eventually it won't take as much time?
Yes.
Okay.
Practicing on the front end will save you time during the school year.
I might have to put that up on my board as a quote for myself.
Okay, so when do you think, though, that you could actually start implementing these new strategies?
Well, I still have the rest of the day, so I can start practicing with it. Maybe after 3 or 4 days, I might be getting the hang of it.
That is a terrific idea. And once you get practice, I will come back in and we will discuss what worked and what didn't work. My suggestion in the meantime is when you're practicing these new strategies is you make sticky notes or you take notes for yourself and you write down things that worked and things that didn't work or things that you have questions about.
Okay, I can do this. I'll do that.
So I will look forward to checking back in with you in about a week to see how all of this is going.
Okay.
Okay,
I
it's
can't
a
wait,
plan.
honey.
Great,
Yes.
Meg. Hi, Meg. It's nice to see you again.
It's good to see you too, Penny. And I am so grateful that you were able to give me some input and to be another set of eyeballs to give me some evidence to help me figure out what to do. In fact, that 1 minute that you told me that we could do the transition in, I thought was too fast, but they did it. They actually did it. And then I also went over the procedures for putting their homework away and getting their homework. That worked too.
I love that, Meg. And you practiced it and the students know what to do.
I do, and it saved time.
That's great. Now, keep in mind, and I don't know that I mentioned this to you, we can go observe another teacher in her classroom during her transition time or his transition time so that you have another idea of what that may look like in the classroom. And I'll be glad to help set that up for you.
I would love to do that.
Great. We can look at that timing a little bit later. And so we're at a place right now where we can either continue talking about transition time or we can move into some other need that you may have in your classroom. How are you feeling at this point? What are your concerns?
Well, I feel like I know how to use the timers now, and the students like having that little bit of competition to do better than the class before. I think I will definitely keep working on it, but I'm ready to do something different.
Okay, great. And I wrote down in my notes that you were interested in talking about engagement on our next cycle.
Yes, because my students want to fidget and they want to talk, but I need them to listen.
Okay, great. So I'm going to write in my notes for the next cycle that you want to talk about engagement, and we're going to focus on some strategies that will help you with engagement. How does that sound?
Excellent. And don't forget, I still need the lesson plan.
Oh, right. I tell you, let's talk about lesson planning. Do you have time on Thursday afternoon after school where we can sit down and look at lesson plans?
Yes, absolutely.
I would love to do that with you. So, Thursday afternoon after school, I will be here. Bring your curriculum and we will look at lesson planning. And then I'm making notes on my journal that we're going to look at engagement next time.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yes. I want them to listen. I want them to learn.
Yes, that's what we all want. Thank you so much, Meg.
Oh, thank you for helping me. And I'm glad that I have you as my mentor.
Thank you for participating in our training. We look forward to working with you. We will see you on your school campuses. And keep in mind also that if you find that the mentor-mentee relationship is not going as well as you thought, let us know. Reach out to us. We will be very discreet, and we will make this work. We want a win-win situation for everyone.
Next steps can be found in your packet. Both of you should work through the worksheet that is in it, and there is a closing activity that you should be doing together. Also, both of you should sign the mentor-mentee agreement. Those 2 papers should be sent back to professional services. Then you're ready to get started. Good luck. You can do this.